In many ways, sailing around the world seems to be a little bit of paradise. It surely must be the good life. Or is it? Every time we visited one of the professors who are kindly helping us in our search, we asked them what they thought sailing would teach us about the good life. Now, as we're getting closer to our first year at sea, it's time to have a look at their thoughts about how sailing can affect our life.
There's a constant infusion of energy from the expectation of actually making it to your destination. In one piece, well, or two.
We also have a chat with some of our fellow sailors.
Yeah, it's a good life. Sometimes it's not the best, but mostly it's a good life, yeah.
It's time we go searching for the good life in paradise. We're two Danes sailing around the world to meet people, visit places, and explore the science behind what a good life is. All this at 10 kilometers an hour. Please join us as we explore life. One of the things that makes some of the good things stand out in our new sailing life is when we look up those top 10 things to do on sea lists when we arrive in a new country. Visit the Panama Canal Visitor Center. Instead, we sailed our own boat through the canal. Cruising trip in the Sandblass Islands. We anchored a home in the middle of it all. Snorkeling trip, fishing trip, visiting a deserted island. You get the point. We absolutely will not deny that sailing around the world leads to some amazing experiences.
What I most like about sailing is that the ocean is my backyard. Like, while I'm sailing, you see all these dolphins coming or sharks coming or whales coming, and it's a very nice way to see and connect with marine life.
Sailing is the perfect way to explore the wet parts of this planet, but it's also a very different type of everyday life than we had before. And the sun isn't always shining, even in paradise. We have learned many new things about ourselves and about life, and that is what we will have a closer look at right now. Starting off in the US, where we visited Professor Barbara Fredrickson, one of the world's leading positive psychologists.
You know, I think traveling is really important as a way to discover, what parts of yourself are really you and what parts are the context that you're in. And putting yourself in new contexts and new cultures really helps you not only open your eyes about the world, but see what's steady and possible within yourself.
Storm and I have definitely felt the effect of putting ourselves in a completely new context.
We had to learn to live together, very close, live with the crew 24/7, and then we had to learn to get some sleep in this rolling, noisy environment about us.
At home, everything is structured around work and sports and hobbies and family and friends and so on. Now, suddenly that was all gone, and we kind of had to rebuild a new everyday life from scratch. It's a privilege, but it's also frightening in a way.
This radical change of our everyday life has given us a much better understanding of what each of us need to be happy in life. And we learned a lot about our own strengths and limitations. It's been amazing and it's been tough. But maybe the tough parts of sailing are exactly what makes sailing extra giving. Something that was highlighted to us by Professor Hans-Henrik Knoop.
There's nothing that's really not important when you're on a ship. Every activity that you do is a bit of a life and death issue. This could be interpreted as stressful, but it's also a privilege. Like when you are diving, the startling experiences is that every problem you have in the world is suddenly secondary to breathing. And it really has a therapeutic effect.
There are indeed many serious parts to sailing around the world. When you're out there on the big ocean where no rescue helicopters can reach you, you are officially completely in charge of your own safety. Even small problems with batteries or the kitchen stove can have big consequences, and it's only you and your crew who can fix it. But luckily enough, there's really two parts to sailing.
Underway sailing and then sitting around like we are right now, so You know, the underway, obviously it's physically demanding. You don't get much sleep. Cooking can be sometimes really difficult. You know, basic human needs like showers and stuff takes the back seat, you know. And then you get to a destination and then, you know, you catch fish, crabs, you scuba dive, you go explore deserted beaches, and kind of balances itself out.
For us, the seriousness and difficulties of underway sailing really adds to the feeling of accomplishment once we reach that next destination. Also, we really learn to appreciate the small things.
The small little things, you know, making a pizza in the middle of the ocean. You know, just having some good food. Most people don't really appreciate that anymore because they have supermarkets around, they can get that every day, you know.
Having more time to relax and read and kind of enjoy the wind and the, you know, nature. Things that basically I never did when I lived in an apartment, you know.
Finding a little Coke can after 2 weeks somewhere, you know, somewhere hidden, and you're like, yes, I got a little, you know, something from the real world.
The things we dream about. The challenges in sailing come both big and small, and that might just be one of the ways that sailing can give us a better life. This was highlighted during a talk with Professor Antonella Del Fave in Italy, as she was mentioning ways that sailing could improve our resilience.
By putting yourself to the test, by experiencing the challenge of being together in a small place for a long time, by experiencing unforeseen challenges that could improve your resilience.
This led to a longer talk about what resilience really is and how it can improve our life. The first studies of resilience were conducted in socially challenged environments, such as slums, ghettos, and favelas.
The question was, how can some children in this kind of environment grow as a wise, well-adapted and successful people, and other children instead get lost into microcriminality or maladaptive behaviors, drug addiction, and so on.
The studies helped identify some of the important factors.
It was not just, of course, intelligence. It was also some aspects of the person, like being curious or being able to see difficulties as challenges rather than obstacles, and also to be supported by some kind of social support that could be just one adult model. Somebody who supported the child in this process of unfolding abilities and capacities and competences.
But how can we apply the learnings from the children of the slums to our lives today?
Today we assume that everything is possible to everybody. This is not true. There are strengths, there are personal resources, there are individual differences, and we need to be realistic with what are our own strengths. We are not perfect, and we have to acknowledge what we can do and what we cannot do. This is, in my opinion, the best way to pursue a good life.
Being curious, seeing difficulties as challenges, having a good network around you, knowing what you can and cannot do, and using that self-knowledge to find your own way through difficulties. That is a great strength to have as you go through life. The importance of network and knowing your own strength is nicely exemplified by one of our fellow sailors, Colin, who took the challenge of sailing to the next level when he bought and rebuilt a catamaran that was half destroyed in Hurricane Irma. In order to succeed, he knew the importance of network and self-awareness.
The key to the whole thing was educating myself with people that knew more than me and taking their advice and not trying to take on everything myself because I would have messed it up. So it was really important to seek the advice of other people, and they just helped me so much. So now that we're sort of in a position to be able to inspire other people through our YouTube channel, it's nice to give back a little bit and show other people that it is possible.
How challenges in life can strengthen us is also nicely highlighted in one of Antonella's studies in children with spinal cord injuries, living in the remote areas of Nepal.
Contrary to what we think, most of these people don't really need psychologists because they learn by themselves, and families learn how to adjust to limiting conditions.
In a way, it's really quite simple. The more we learn to deal with different types of challenges, the better prepared we will be for the big challenges that life will inevitably bring us. Sailing is just one of the many ways you can challenge yourself.
So you roll up to a port and where's the food, where's the grocery store, where's the bank, where's all these things, and it's like a little scavenger hunt every time you roll into a different country.
It's always a constant battle with how much power and water you use.
The weather is not always playing along.
Not having fresh food, not seeing friends and family as often as we like.
You can plan, but
Sailing can affect our lives in different ways. By putting ourselves in a completely new setting, our own strengths and needs become clearer, and we learn how things can be done differently.
We wanted to try a completely different type of everyday life, and we got just that.
The difficulties and seriousness of crossing major oceans builds a feeling of learning, accomplishment, and appreciation of the small things in life.
What I wouldn't give for a hot shower.
The many new types of challenges give us a more realistic view of our own strengths. We learn to handle difficulties and build our resilience, which will benefit us in future difficulties. All these things can of course be achieved in many other ways than sailing. No need to sell everything you own and quit your job just yet. Maybe your challenge is running a marathon, painting the next Mona Lisa, or helping someone through difficult times, or anything that feels right for you. Sailing is just one of the ways.
It brings you back to just a simple, minimalistic way of living.
You can move your whole house to a different location.
Seeing new places and getting familiar with new cultures.
The time I have left, I am in extra time, so it makes me happy.
To be able to freedive whenever I want, it's just let's go freediving and see all this amazing sea life.
Taking things a little bit more slowly and enjoying what's there.
You make it happen, and it's so much more worth than just buying a ticket and flying to a destination.
Maybe I die at sea. So
It's just such a grounding environment to be in, and I recommend it to anyone.